Mapping around with Ryan and Scott.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, Ryan, how do you do?
I do great most of the time. How do you do?
I'm okay.
Well, maybe it'll get better.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm still waiting.
This episode of Mapping Around with Scott and Ryan, I was in the elevator the other day at work. It wasn't the other day. It was more like January 11th or so. And someone said to another person in the elevator, they said, "Happy New Year." Oh, wait, can I still say that? And the woman said, she was like this old woman who was trying to be wise, I could tell. And she's like, "You know what? This is the first time we've seen each other, so yes, you can say that. And if it was June and I was meeting someone for the first time, then it would be okay to say Happy New Year to that person."
That lady sucks. She sucks.
Yeah, she thought she was very wise, though.
Yeah, no, March is way too far away. I thought you were going to tell me you were stuck in an elevator for 3 months, and that's why we're just not doing this. That would have made more sense than Happy New Year's okay in June.
No, but I mean, I'm setting up that, yeah, that definitely does not make sense, and I didn't tell that woman that. I let her be. But that's all to say that we're gonna do a little year in review, I think, in this episode, just because I like talking about stats for the year, putting those out there somewhere to show how statly we were last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll move on to this year. I had a good year last year. I'm having a good year this year too.
I had a great 2018. I am not having a very good 2019. But we don't have to get into that. We can get into that March of 2020. How about that?
Okay. We'll check back in and see how your 2019 was overall. But yeah, for me, I had a baby in 2018, so that kind of made it great automatically. And then I got married in 2019.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So it's all good.
My car lit on fire in 2019. My cat died last week in 2019.
And I actually want to talk about that. I don't know if it's too fresh for you, but Sassy was a great cat, and we had a picture of Sassy on the front of Pinball Map when we very first started it. She was crawling into my Paragon machine. The glass was off, and she was walking on it while we were trying to repair it. That was kind of to tell her like that, she was always right there while we were first working on this site, and a great companion. I'm sorry to see her go.
Me too. One more Sassy story, and then we'll get to 2018. I am a former owner of World Cup Soccer. Not a huge fan of the machine, mostly because of the theme. I don't care for soccer. So it's a weird machine for me to own. But I had a picture of Sassy taped under the back glass, or under the glass on where like the rules cards would be. And moments before I sold the machine to Beth, actually, PBM's own Beth, I pulled that glass off and snagged that Sassy picture out of there. And it was the end of 2 long-term relationships I've had. Yeah. Sassy and World Cup Soccer.
Yeah, well, at least you sold it, World Cup Soccer, to a friend, and you could still hop over there and play it sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But
take me back to a better time, to a better year.
Last year, 2018, everything was going great. So here's what we did. We started a podcast, which you're listening to. That was cool. We made a regionless map. That was a pretty big deal, which is like all the regional maps combined together into one super map. We launched a Patreon, which is holding steady and really helping us with our costs.
Yeah.
That was a great idea.
Is that your idea?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I had that idea like years ago, and then we never did it. But I'm not looking for credit.
Okay.
But you can't take the credit. So
okay.
Gotta share that. We made new shirts, including a new design, like Portland Pinball Map shirt, which I was wearing the sweatshirt of that today at the Los Angeles Zoo.
Nice. You know, I'm still waiting to run into somebody in public that I don't know wearing one of the shirts. It's a really petty thing. It's a really petty part of my brain that's active every time I'm out and about. But that hasn't happened yet. Renee wore one yesterday, and I saw her, and I was a little surprised to see, and I was like, oh, yeah, cool. That almost counts.
I don't think that really counts, though.
My wife, Renee, by the way.
She's your wife, and she lived. I saw someone once wearing one.
Really? Someone you didn't know?
Yeah, someone.
What do you do there? Do you say, hey, nice shirt?
No, I don't think I said anything. I think I was handing out pinball map pins at that time. It was like during a league that I wasn't a part of, so there was like 40 people walking around. Okay. And he sort of like walked past me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
but it was cool to see, though.
I'll have a hard time not saying something to somebody, but I will hate myself later for saying something to somebody. So if you're that person, I'm sorry in advance. What other cool things happened in 2018?
Well, Stern Pinball launched their new website, and they have a pinball locator on it that uses our API and our data.
Mm-hmm.
Stern has a thing called the Stern Army. So the Stern Army are like locations that run promo events for them, I guess, like the launch events, and they get a lot of swag, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. I think that's all I really know. We created a tag on our site where we can tag locations as Stern Army locations. On their locator, the locator basically, when you load it, it shows all the Stern Army locations. Then you could do additional searches, which we're actually in the process of updating a bit to make the search even cooler than it is right now. But that's still cool. Like, they're using our data for that. They like us.
Yeah, and it's cool and weird and existential to some degree to be working with people who are getting paid to interact with our API. Real business professionals, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
I find that I haven't found a place for that yet. It's a positive thing. I just don't know how to file it away. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking of them typing and...
Who typing? Like the staff members?
Yeah, kind of. Like the person who's on the other end poking around at the API and punching a time card and logging time against working with the pinball map. And then you and I are on the other end of the email like, hey, sir or ma'am, can we add a feature for you?
They're like, you may. The last thing on my list is that we've started a total app rewrite, which is still ongoing, but that's a huge deal. I guess we could give a status update for that right now. It did slow down a little bit during the holidays, as things tend to. But since then, we've been zooming along still. Beth is doing a really, really great job. Like, I love the app. Like, I open it and I'm happy to be in it every time. I like how it looks, like how it functions. I think it's going to be just a massive improvement. It just basically builds off of what we've learned over the years with the current apps. One thing I actually was thinking about the other day that I like about things like projects that take this long is that it gives you a lot of time to take your time and make it really good. Mm-hmm. I've like refined the style on the pages, a dozen times already. And that's good because it just makes it better and better. And I wouldn't be able to do that if we had like a deadline of like 1 month from now. I just have to like work as quickly as possible.
Well, and the thing and I'm more of an outsider here. I help out with the API as we need it. But the thing I've heard come up between you and Beth a couple times is borrowing things that work well in other apps, best practices at this point, which maybe weren't as defined when the original apps were created. So they'll feel a little more familiar for people who use their phones all day using other, $1 million apps.
Yeah. I definitely rely on looking at these professionally made other apps and websites and seeing how they design things, like just cherry picking ideas off of all those. And I'd be a little lost without those. And I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of, to use ideas from other people.
Nope. Thanks for the ideas, Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Thanks for all that R&D.
Thanks for the free ideas, tech bros.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I went too far. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. You seem a little... So yeah, that's the year in review. Well, I guess I could also throw in stats from last year too, because I have all those. And, you can't really compare them to the year before. You could, but I don't have the year before's in front of me, so you can't.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see, year stats. I'm going to just churn through these. We had 13,479 machines added to locations and 9,103 machines removed. So it's a net increase of 4,376.
That's a lot. Feels like a lot.
Yeah, I think that seems like a real lot to me. 13,000 machines added. That's like a lot of edits being made to the map.
Yeah, because I mean, at least in Portland, your average good pinball place has 4 machines? And the truly great ones have, 10, 12.
Mm-hmm.
So just to think across the whole country that there's this many places with pinball just seems, I don't know. It's more than I expected.
Yeah, and those are just machine edits too. That's like people just adding or removing them from locations. I mean, including brand new locations being added. But in total, I mean, at the moment right now, we have, we're at over 6,000 locations and over 20,000 machines total. So to have say last year we were just under 20,000 machines, yet map edits wise, we had over 13,000 machines added last year and 9,000 removed. Like that seems like a ton of edits considering how many are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 5,578 location confirmations.
Oh, nice. Thanks for those.
Machine comments, we had 9,690 machine comments.
GI is out. GI is fixed.
1,950 location submissions, 855 scores added, and I think at the end of the year we're at 6,157 users, registered users.
I have a feeling when that new app comes out, all of this is gonna blow up. Just because the regionless stuff, right? Like the new app is pretty much 100% regionless, right?
Yeah, the new app's 100% regionless, and the current apps are 100% regional. So there's no regionless stuff on the current apps right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's totally going to change the game. I have to give people explanations these days when, somebody submitted 2 locations in Brazil last Friday. And, I say, hey, I added them, but don't expect them to show up on the app just yet because the app only has ones that are in regions and we don't have a Brazil region right now. So
what'd they say back?
They didn't say anything back.
Oh, okay.
I send a lot of responses to people and don't receive responses back. That's just kind of the name of the game. I think people submit stuff and they say so long after that. But there was actually a pretty cool submission. There was it was I think it was called Old School Pinball Club. It's in Sao Paulo. I didn't realize this, but there was a manufacturer called Taito, Taito.
Yeah, it's Japanese, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Japanese, but then it the description says something about Brazil also. It's I don't know if they're manufacturing in Brazil, but it says Taito de Brazil, I think. If I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, it's a Japanese one. But they had these themes that I hadn't seen before. Hawkman, Vortex, Shark. Pretty cool.
It's called Shark?
Yeah, just Shark. Early 80s, 82, 83. And Hawkman is actually the same layout as Fathom.
Did you see a picture of it?
Yeah.
Is it the DC character Hawkman?
You know what? I don't know what the DC character Hawkman.
Damn it.
I don't think it's hard. I don't know.
He's got big wings. He holds a mace. an
Well, this
imposing.
dude had wings. Yeah, I mean it's a Hawkman, so they had wings, but I didn't see a mace.
Okay, the mace is critical. That's like Thor's hammer for this guy.
Yeah, Hawkman's mace. And then Vortex was a retheme of Blackout.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if all of Taito's games are rethemes or not. I don't think they are, but still, it was cool. Those were 3 machines that we had never had on the map at all. And it's cool that they're like, in Brazil and still working.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's the year. Now we're moving on to this year. Hope we can have another good year like last year.
Yeah, I have a feeling pinball map-wise, this is going to be a good one. The other thing, I don't think did we talk about this last time we met? Our own personal map server, tile server, up and running?
No, yeah, that's
Tech.
Tech. So we're on MapTech now, and what were you saying, Scott?
Oh, well, I was just saying that we have our own map tile server. We are off the grid. We've created our own grid for maps.
Yeah, I know. Literally, it is a grid of maps. So do you want to give any details about it?
Sure. So we're using open map tiles, and the good folks there, or some mega fan of theirs, created a Docker container that Docker being, imagine it's like a spell book for how to take a system of many programs and dump them onto a computer such that the computer knows exactly what programs and versions of those programs are necessary to run the overall program. In this case, a map server. So we have a Docker container that we put on an EC2 machine, EC2 being Amazon's virtual machines that they make available for a reasonable fee. And that machine now runs and responds to our little website's map requests, where you may recall previously we were using Google for this, and last year they decided to start charging for it, which is reasonable but unaffordable. So now we have our own map solution. You may have noticed the maps look a lot different now and don't have a ton of information about non-pinball map locations.
Yeah, I think I think that data is sourced from OpenStreetMap, so it varies from area to area. I think we need to get a setup where we're like refreshing the tiles, because those get updated a lot too, showing new business information and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they are overall sparser than the Google Maps ones, which, you can't compete with. Google Maps is tops, like it has the most information on it.
Yeah, which is awesome. But, I'm looking at the map and I'm thinking, do I really need to, is this what I'm doing here? I'm trying to find where the local Carl's Jr. is or something. I just want to know where the pinball machine is.
Yeah.
So probably it's good enough. I don't know.
Yeah, and you could do cool stuff, like you can create your own themes, which right now we're using a default theme, but I did create a theme with colors that kind of match our site colors, which will add that themed base map to it, the base map will be more integrated with our site theme, which I think will be cool.
I think the coolest thing about it is, and I know we talked about this before, but there would not be a pinball map right now if we weren't able to do this. Our costs for Google Maps were, what was it? It was over $200 a month or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I think well over that. I can't remember, but it was, yeah.
And, the Patreon money is super, super helpful, but wouldn't cover that. So what we can cover now is the cost of our server hosting, of our own map tile server. And then we got the software for free. So, yeah, that was almost the end of the pinball map.
Yeah, and it feels cool to be self-sufficient there too, like to know that these tiles are loading just for us.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And it hasn't gone down yet, which is surprising and cool.
Yeah,
we're our own DevOps team too. Elijah.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't want to get woken up for that.
No, but yeah.
But I will wake you up, Elijah.
Let's see. Oh, another map tech-ish update is, I can't believe we haven't talked about this, but the saved locations feature,
Oh, yeah.
I have this on my list. Apparently we haven't talked, apparently that's kind of that new. So we added, again, this is not on the current app, it's only on the website and the app we're working on, but we have a saved locations feature where if you look up a location, there'll be a little heart icon next to its name, and if you click that while you're logged in, if you click that, then that location gets added to your saved list. Man, it feels like we talked about this, but maybe not.
No, we totally didn't, because I remember doing it over the holiday break in a fit of rage. So that was after the last podcast.
Yeah. Who were you angry at?
Nobody. I just I hadn't had a lot of time to work on pinball map stuff. So it was a lot of little code features here and there adding up together, and I just remember putting on a dumb TV show and plowing through it.
Nice. So on the website, at least, if you've saved one place, there'll be a link that says saved map or something, saved map. Yeah. And you click that and it loads a map just showing the locations that you've saved. So it's your own little personal map with your favorite places on it.
I think for me, it's a good one because it points to a larger direction that I think we need to go of making user accounts more, I don't want to say meaningful, but less of a security feature than a, actual, I go here and it feels like my home on the pinball map. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We need
totally.
The point system, the badges, whatever it is people want to see.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the save feature is exactly that. It's a way to make the app kind of their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got from Map Tech. Oh, I guess app stuff, which it's hard to put a percentage on how far through it we are. 80% maybe. I feel like we're really, really close. There's only a few more features to be added, and then we'll have beta testing.
Beta testing for Patreon members.
Yeah, I was thinking Patreon members can beta test, and admins also.
You are testing on iOS, and Beth is testing on Android. Is that true?
She tests like in a iOS emulator, and I sent her an Android phone that I had so she can use that. But I also have another Android phone here, so I test in Android and iOS here.
Wow. Okay. Jeez. Thanks.
Yeah, I actually haven't opened Android in like a month, so I need to do that because things pop up in Android that are bizarre.
Do you remember the Amazon Fire phone?
Yes.
Is that still a thing?
I think it probably is, which is just
really?
it's just like a custom Android ROM, isn't it?
Oh, it is? No, I don't know. I assume they did their own thing, but I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just Android.
What about Windows Phone? Is that still a thing?
That is gone.
Oh, that's gone?
Yeah.
Oh. You had one of those, didn't you?
Yeah. That phone got stolen out of my car while I was surfing one day, and I was very sad about that. I really liked Windows Phone. I thought the design was really pretty, and it felt really intuitive to work with. I've actually been on the bus years ago, and I've looked over old ladies' shoulders and seen them with Windows phones, and it seemed like a good operating system for the elderly.
It's the second story in this podcast episode that involves you around an old woman.
Well, you don't know my definition of old. It could be, 40.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember my grandma, who's just actually today is her 98th birthday. She wanted to get a cell phone a few years ago, and I wanted to recommend a Windows Phone because she uses Windows, and whatever version of Windows she had was I think the one with like all the tiles on it, which I think they don't use anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought she'd be real familiar with it if she moved and had a Windows phone. She ended up getting an Android, and it sucked. It was like an Android ROM that was made specifically for elderly people, and they did not do a good job with it. It was really difficult, and I don't know. I can't really remember the details of it, but I remember going over there and trying to show her how to do stuff, and I was confused by it. So, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if people care to hear about this, but no, I think it's interesting. Like, my assumption would be that old people, when they pick up their phone, it's to call somebody. I'm probably wrong, and I apologize if that offends anybody. But that's where my head goes. Whereas I think of my phone, like the phone calling part is the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But if the elderly are truly out there trying to, hit up some website and having trouble doing it, that feels like an untapped market.
What would your product be?
I guess it would be a
operating system?
A giant button that gets you to Instagram for the grandkids. Giant button that calls people. Maybe some sort of scheduler for making sure you take your medication on time. Yeah. I should shut up because I don't know what I'm talking about here, and I don't want to stereotype. But yeah, you wrap it all up in an application. Doesn't even have to be an OS, just an application that runs at launch time. And of course, a giant pinball map icon that loads with the nearest. I'm going to bail on this because everything I say is just going to be short-sighted and offensive.
You were going to pick a particular machine?
No, I was going to. Where my head was going was like, where would old people want to play pinball? And it immediately went to places that probably aren't true. So I'm just not going to say anything at all. Except my heart is in the right place. I feel like the elderly, if they want to use smartphones like everyone else, they deserve a high level of service that is tuned to their needs. And I feel like if that's not being presented today, that's what we should be doing now. End this podcast today. End the pinball map. That's what we're focusing on after this.
Oh, I actually have a few fun stats. So if we want to hop back to stats for a few minutes.
Fun Stats 2019.
Fun Stats 2019. Here we go.
All right.
So, and this is a quiz for you. Do you think there are more machine comments that mention the left flipper or the right flipper?
Oh, man. So my head immediately goes to right flipper because more people are right-handed. Maybe your natural instinct is to hit that right button.
Well, you're right.
Yeah, that's just sound logic, right?
Yeah, there's 281 comments that say the phrase right flipper.
Nice.
And there's 241 that say left flipper. So pretty close, though. 241, 281.
Yeah, that is pretty close.
And then here's another stat, which this is just something I noticed when I was adding locations. I was surprised by how many locations had the name JJ, double J in the name of their business. It just struck me as weird. Yeah, like JJ's Lounge or something like that. I was like, why are there so many JJ places?
So here's my theory.
Okay.
Aside from name combinations like James John, like there, I don't, hey, I'm in St. John's, Oregon right now. James John is a big deal here.
Okay.
I bet the real reason is because some, like Jimmy Bob sort of combo. There's something that's JJ, but maybe it's the second J is Junior. And what we're really seeing here is a lot of John Juniors.
Or like, Jeff Jr. maybe?
Yeah, Jim, James, like all that stuff. Just a theory.
All right. Well, there probably aren't as many as you think, but now that we've hyped it up, but how many do you think?
JJ is on the pinball map?
Uh-huh.
How many locations again? Like 6,000?
Yeah, over 6,000.
I'm going to go 13.
Pretty close. There's 8.
8, okay.
It's still a surprising amount of JJs.
It's significant. This is fun. I like the quiz part. I like the quiz part of the podcast.
Those were the only fun stats I came up with, though.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think I had others I mean, I could straight up. I have the SQL up right now.
We're doing a live quiz.
Yeah. All right. Here's another one.
Okay.
How many locations do you think have the word lucky in their name?
Lucky. Oh boy. I hate that word. I hate that word in the context of stuff like this.
Yeah.
Lucky. So if there were 8 JJs, I'll go with there's 34 Luckies.
Wow, you're over by the same amount? 29.
29. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
Huh.
All right, and then this one won't be as interesting.
Why am I so good at this?
Well, let's see what happens here. How many locations have the word retrocade in their name?
Oh boy.
A
Retrocade.
lot. Retrocade
Is
seems
this-
very particular.
Wasn't it Barcade that got trademarked or something?
Yeah,
And they were.
yeah. Barcade's trademark, so only the we do have some barcades on there.
Yeah, I guess we probably shouldn't even talk about that too much because they seem pretty aggressive about their trademark.
Yeah, they seem pretty litigious.
It's like-
I mean, but yeah,
Like choose your own adventure. Retrocade. Oh boy.
yeah, but I don't think, judging by the name, like full names of these places, I don't think retrocade is trademarked yet.
Okay. Well, it shouldn't be. It's a dumb word. Sorry. I love retrocades. I just feels lazy to me. The name feels lazy. Retrocade. Yeah, no one cares about that. I'm gonna go with 25.
25? No way.
Yeah, I feel like the retrocades tend to be bigger, right? So it has to be in a bigger city. There's probably not many in the same city. So that's my thought here.
I just don't think there's that many people that are that, as you said, lazy with their names. So there's only 6.
Okay. All right, well, good.
But I thought that was a lot. I was like, man, there's a lot of. Anyway.
Yeah, well, that's location pinball for you. Lots of names out there.
A lot of names out there.
Gotta ID yourself as
We'll
a...
think of some more fun stats next time. There's a lot of places we can go with these stats. How many laundromats have pinball? How many users have AOL accounts?
Yeah, that would be good. Okay.
I wanted to do a tips and tactics. We also mentioned, in chat at least, the Scott's fantasy game, but I don't know if you want to spill that on a podcast.
I'll tell my fantasy game, but I was thinking about my fantasy game today at dinner and how when I was typing it out in the official pinball map chat room, how it felt like a revelation. I felt like I was discovering Iceland or something like that. Like really, really doing something. But now in retrospect, I feel like this idea has probably floated around many a late night bar room. You know, like this is the sort of stoned notion that's probably come to a million people's minds. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Let me throw it out there.
Yeah. I don't know. It felt pretty unique and felt like a good idea to me.
It's just
but we'll see.
I just feel like it's so obvious. Somebody's made this as an offhand comment, and they talked about it for longer than 5 minutes. But anyway, here's my pinball machine idea. And this is a tip and tactic?
No, we're in a new segment called Scott's Fantasy Game.
Oh, fantasy games. Okay. So here's my fantasy game. The theme is you're a pinball tech, and the machine itself, the physical properties of the machine react differently based on the modes that you complete. Like general illumination is out, so you have to do a mode to turn it back on. Or a flipper is weak, you have to do a mode to get your flipper strong again. Pop bumpers turn off, et cetera, et cetera. Anything that could break on a machine is fair game for being a mode in the game. And then my new tech here is that there'll be a mode where the ball has to touch every piece of the playfield in order to clean the playfield. And that gets you a different type of bonus. And I have an elaborate magnet system that I've invented in my head. And I have no knowledge of engineering to actually do that. But that's it.
And like the lights can be dim until you hit everything, and then they go full illumination because the machine's clean.
Yeah, exactly. Or like things like ramps that just don't work until you do a thing that lowers the or raises, I don't know, geometry, the the angle of the ramp so that you can actually get a ball up there.
Yeah.
But the cool thing that I actually would like about a machine like that is the notion that as you're fixing machines, you have these fantasy machines that are part of the game, right? Like going back to that unlicensed machine thing. I think that could be fun to play around with. And then, and then dinner continued for a little bit more, and I was like, oh, that's right. I'm a software development manager in Portland, Oregon, who knows nothing about machines, design, or anything. And then my life continued mostly the same.
Well, I was thinking we could incorporate Pinball Map into that too here's the theme. It's you're a tech, you're sitting at your headquarters waiting to learn about a problem with one of your machines on your route. Someone leaves a comment on the map, you get pinged. You get a message that says Pinball Map message. Somebody left a comment saying the left flipper's weak on Hawkman, and then you gotta in the game drive out to that location, and then you start playing that machine, which has a weak left flipper, and then you need to hit some shots to fix that left flipper, and then you get another message from the Pinball Map. So that's a way to sneak us into there.
Elijah, who was a tech, had the good idea of the shaker motor in the machine replicating you being electrocuted as you're fixing electrical issues. I think that would be a nice feature as well. And then a video mode where you have to avoid drunk people as you fix the machine on site.
I think my idea was a ball trough that spits out 2 balls when it's supposed to have 1, but if you drain 1, your ball ends. Multi-balls that give you 1 fewer ball than you want. So basically the game is filled with glitches, and then you need to fix those glitches.
It would be a really fun game. Hey, Gary Stern, I know you're listening. I know you're listening to this podcast, Gary.
He's listening.
I respect what you've done, and I want you to continue the good work. Consider this idea on the house.
Wow, on the house? You don't want to... You could still, hire us to just, hire you at least to lay this out on paper, all the modes.
Yeah, I guess.
Although now they have Keith there, and he used to be an operator.
Yeah.
So he could do it.
Hey, Keith, I know you're listening. This one's all yours, buddy. Gary, it was Keith's idea. It was Keith's idea the whole time.
It'd be called On Location. Or did you have a name for it?
No, I don't think I did. I mean, yeah.
Tech Blues.
Yeah, okay. Tech would have to be in the name. I don't know. Somebody pointed out that a machine like this would never get made because, well, wait a minute. I'm going to argue with that theoretical person. Somebody pointed out that this wouldn't work because there's no mass appeal for it, right? But isn't a big part of the pinball industry the home buyer? And those people are going to spend money for a machine. You probably get a kick out of it.
This is the Backglass Brothers.
Habitat.
Here to talk about Isaac Newton's Pinball Party.
Yeah, just
An educationally themed pinball experiment to get the youth back into the game, but also teach them the laws of motion and physics. Isaac Newton's Pinball Party.
I'm pretty sure...
Keith's listening, so you got.
I know.
He'll know.
I'm pretty sure I'm in Southwest Airlines magazine talking about Isaac Newton's Pinball Party. Do you remember that?
Yeah, what was
I
that?
don't know how that happened. I wound up in Southwest Airlines magazine
That's right.
Talking about that?
talking about pinball.
That's right. How did that happen?
I feel like if we say it enough times, someone will make it. It's in Southwest. It'll be on Pinball Map Podcast.
Another thing we were thinking to, Herb, to get the youth,
Yeah.
the youngsters, the young thespian into the game of pinball.
Golden Girls.
Golden Girls,
Oh,
yeah.
your finger.
Hey, people are taking claim for that.
Really?
Yeah. A couple people were like, no, man, I came up with Golden Girls. And did you notice that on the picture? I couldn't find it. It's not up on the website anymore. Or something's like not letting it load, but it's spelt wrong.
Oh, yeah,
it says like
G-R-I-L-S,
yeah,
Golden Grills.
it says Golden Grills. That's funny.
Yeah, Drew made that.
Yeah, a couple people were wanting the Golden Girls pinball. That's when Wheel of Fortune came out, remember? And we were like, oh, cool, they're really catering to, the people that are still into pinball. Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune's great, though. We just got one at the bar.
All right, last segment is tips and tactics. Simple tip, like it is every time. This is a tip on how to use Pinball Map more efficiently. This is when you're submitting a location to be added, try to fill out as many fields as you can. And this is coming from my perspective of when I add locations, I often add them while I'm at work and while I have like 1 minute to spare on something. And I'm like, well, I have a minute. I'm going to add a location. And I look at the queue of 30 locations that have been submitted. And if I see one that has a lot of all the fields filled out, I can just click a button and it gets added. If I see one that has lots of fields missing, fields such as the address, the city, crucial fields that you need, then those won't get updated as quickly because it requires more work for us to get them ready. So try to fill out as many fields as you can.
All right, I will. All right, well, good job, Ryan. Good podcast.
Yeah, you too, Scott. Good job. Good job talking.
I'll see you on the internet, and I'll see all the users on the internet too. It's all going to happen on the internet.
That's where we're at these days. That's where we hang out on the net.
That's where the pinball map is. It's on the internet, but it connects people to the real world.
Bye, Scott.
Bye. I'll talk to you soon. Have a safe and healthy time in California. Try to play some pinball, and I'll see you around.